have our first Maine celebrity on Gardening with Gutner. It's Joan Benoit Samuelson. Joan, we know about all of your athletic accolades. I mean, gold medal, Boston Marathon winner twice, by the way. But gardening?
Yeah, gardening's a big part of my life. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. It keeps me in shape. People think I lift weights, but I just work in the gardens. And,
That's so funny.
You know, I'm very holistic with my training, and that goes for the running and the cycling and everything, the skiing. But this is what really grounds me and brings me home.
Master gardener, what got you, how do you become one? What got you interested in it?
Well, when we moved onto the property, I became very interested in gardening. My mother had a perennial garden growing up, but was not a vegetable gardener, and I wanted more vegetable gardening than perennial or annual gardening myself. So I first went for the vegetable garden, and then I decided that I would put in a perennial garden, and that's how this became what it is. And we had other gardens, but I grassed them in because it was just too much time. But what I like about this garden is the peonies, and I learned how to care for the peonies and all my flowers and all my plants organically through the Master Gardener program, which is you know, offered through the University of Maine Extension Service. So I met a lot of friends in that program, and I've been able to teach a lot to our children about gardening, more to our children than to my husband. But I've had very many or several teachable moments in the garden.
Do they get involved with you out here? I mean,
Only if they have to.
it sounds like
Only if they don't want to sing for their
kid.
supper, they'll come out into the vegetable garden and pick what they want, which is pretty cool.
That is neat.
Because some of us like beets and others don't. And,
Yeah.
you know, we have big bean eaters in here.
But this isn't a bonding area for you and your husband then, right?
No, he lugs a lot of the seaweed up, but that's about it. If
Okay.
I send him out for parsley, he might come back with basil. So. But he is great about getting all the eelgrass that I feed the garden. And
You put him to work, in other words.
yeah.
So before we get to that beautiful vegetable garden that you have, I imagine that when you're in there, you're also keeping this in mind, this beautiful Maine scenery in mind.
The two go hand in hand, really. I harvest a lot of the eelgrass that I use as mulch right down here and bring it up to the garden, so that's another weight workout for me. But I also like to plan my day around the tides. It's very soothing. Like if I'm running or cycling, I like to finish my run or bike ride when the tide is in, so I just jump right in. And,
Oh, you jump in that water?
Yeah, yeah. I'm jumping in it now. You know, I cut into this cold water swimming thing this past fall, and like the gardening, I find it therapeutic too. It just zings my entire body when it's cold.
So that's
and
your
I'm a
secret.
purist there too. I don't wear wetsuits. I don't wear footies or gloves or anything.
Oh, that's amazing. So let's go up in there because I know this is a pretty special place for you. It's huge, by the way. And
it's smaller than it was.
What do you mean?
Well, it used to be, we have raised beds now, and it used to be, I planted everything right into the soil, but we have a lot of marine clay here. That's why the grass looks like it looks. We don't feed, obviously, the grass anything because I don't want any nitrogen or, you know, potassium. I don't want the
bad
NPK
stuff
going into the water because we talked about climate change, and ocean acidification is certainly a part of that.
Well, let's head up this way. So I'm assuming all this is in an effort to keep out all the critters, right?
Oh, yes.
How successful is it?
It's successful thus far, and I said to my husband, when it no longer keeps all the wildlife out, then it's time to move on.
I mean, it wouldn't be, your garden wouldn't be as beautiful as it is, I would assume, without it, right? Do you swear by it kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, one year when we had those green invasive crabs, it was really non-existent that year, the eelgrass.
I can wheel this in, I guess.
I'll just put it right here.
Right up in here. What do we got here?
This is eelgrass. This I stored, stockpiled from last year because it usually doesn't come in until early July, and maybe it'll come in a little earlier this year.
I mean, when you say come in, come in on
it
a
washes
tide,
up
right?
on the shore.
On the
Yeah,
shore
it
down
washes
there?
up on the shore. And so I mulch everything as best I can with this. I have to watch out for the little seedlings that are still coming through the soil. But I just line it up like this. And I just covered the little lettuce seedlings I transplanted because of the bright sunshine.
Yeah.
But those will come off tonight, and hopefully they'll...
What kind of satisfaction do you get out of the fact that you're using something that comes in out of the ocean in your garden that's going to feed you and your family?
Well, it's, like, the circular ecosystem. It's great because it's washed up, so it's not serving its purpose anymore in the ocean, but now it's serving a purpose without adding any chemicals or added nutrients that don't come naturally.
You are a purist, aren't you?
I start everything by seed. I have to say those 2 heads of lettuce, actually just that head of lettuce, I bought a cell pack of 6 different lettuces, and that's the last one. But everything else was started from seed, and we have an old neighbor, or had an old neighbor, who said if you don't get your peas in before Patriots Day, you won't have peas by the 4th of July. He was an old Maine salt and an artist. So every year before the Boston Marathon, because I go down there just about every year, I make sure I have my peas in the ground.
Right.
And I have pictures, or my husband took pictures of me clawing through the snow to make a trench for the pea seeds.
Crawling through the
Yeah,
snow.
so that's a tradition here.
That's amazing. Are you still competitively running?
I'm aging up, but I'm trying to be competitive, at least in my age group, on both sides of the gender tallies.
Okay. How are you succeeding?
I'm doing okay.
You're holding your own?
Yeah, now I'm sort of looking at the Peloton results too. So
Oh,
yeah, I
interesting.
may try a triathlon this fall. I did one when I'm 50, and it's 15 years later, and I haven't done one since. So I'm thinking maybe I'll try a triathlon, because I've done a lot of cycling recently with the partial knee replacement I had a year ago.
Okay.
But now I'm back running, and I'm hoping to run a marathon this fall, the London Marathon,
The London Marathon.
on my way to the Abbott 6-star medal. I've done 4, but I still have London and Tokyo.
Oh my gosh.
And if they counted all my Bostons, all my Chicagos, all my New Yorks, it'd be many times over, but
Yeah, of course.
I have to play by the rules.
So you still have some goals to hit.
Yes, yeah. I still have some goals, but it may be that I resign myself to only running 5Ks, and if I could run a 5K with a daughter and a granddaughter someday, that would be more to me than running another marathon. But who knows, our granddaughter may want to be a concert pianist or a ballerina, so
You're not going to push
I'm
your granddaughter.
going to try to practice what I teach. Let them chart their own courses and be as supportive as you can.
That's great. That's great motherly and parental advice right there.
Well,
it really is.
as you age, you become a little bit more wise than you were when you were a fledgling teenager, right?
Right.
No pun intended. Here you can see daily changes. Yesterday, those pea vines weren't climbing the fence. Today they are. I had to train one at that end, and now the others have all followed suit. These are lagging behind a little bit. And then these were planted a couple of weeks earlier, and I saw the first blossom yesterday.
There's one right here.
Yeah, that's the blossom I saw. Good eyes. And then this is going to seed. I have
arugula?
planted, that's arugula, and then I have chard, and I had radishes here and spinach, but they've come and gone. I have a few radishes left, but I don't think can't tell a book by its cover, right? This vegetation looks great, but there's a good. Do you
that's
like
not
radishes?
bad. I do actually.
Well, you don't want to eat a dirty radish.
I mean, well, yeah. Let's wait to clean
Okay.
it. Thank you, though.
See, that one's smaller.
A little smaller, but still beautiful.
But when it starts to bolt and form the seed pods at the top, that means it's
time.
This is my signature crop. You wouldn't know it right now. I still have some inside that I'm going to bring out. This is my celery. And this is what really likes the eelgrass, because it's so stringy that it absorbs all the salt from the eelgrass, and it's really tasty.
Does it get a different flavor than what you'd have in the grocery store?
Oh yeah, it doesn't even compare. It's
No
so,
kidding.
like the celery you buy in the store doesn't really have any taste compared to what this. It's just really delicious. So I do a lot with celery. And I'll bring in the eelgrass today, and I try to keep it loose.
Yeah.
around the root systems.
Does celery, what does it require? Obviously sunlight, but does it need a lot of water? I mean, it's mostly water anyway, right?
Yeah, it doesn't really need a lot, but sometimes it's hard to tell. Now, see, I can't tell what's right here, except I think that's, I planted something.
This
That's
here?
more arugula coming through.
Oh, from seed.
Yeah, and that just like planted a couple days ago. I have to keep track of what I plant. I use every inch of space that I possibly can, realizing that these are going to leaf out and shade what's here. So, because the arugula is a short-lasting crop,
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no way you can eat all of this.
No, we share it with our neighbors. I bring some up to the pantry. I used to do the plant a row program with the master gardeners. And now I just sort of dedicate, like all these beans, a lot of those beans will go to the pantry.
Oh, okay. That's really nice. That's nice. Over here, you still have some asparagus, correct?
Yeah, that's sort of
Isn't that
left over. I was going to do
first crops?
asparagus there, and then somebody turned me on to sugar and yellow raspberries. And I really cut this all back early this spring. I left a few in the back, the taller ones, thinking this would all go away, but it's come back. I had some sort of a virus, and they didn't last all that long. So I don't know. I may tear it all up next year because I have raspberries over by the peonies, and I've got some out here, and then I've got more peonies over here, and I change it up a lot. This side of the bed was getting too much water in the spring. And that pear tree over there, that's really prolific, and I don't know what happened to this peach tree, but it's sort of
peaches are my
artful.
favorite.
But I do have some more peaches. I try to keep it going.
Yeah.
Trees are easier than gardens, so.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
For every garden I seed over, I'm putting in a new tree.
Was this celery here? Was that your little trick that you wanted to show us? You did mention, you briefly touched on something when we were first in here.
Well, it was this, just keeping the soil loose, and then I'll very carefully place the eelgrass because you want the green showing above the eelgrass. But I'd forgotten I'd planted here, and look how quickly it came up.
Yeah. And you got your labeling stick that you're going to be using soon.
Right. And there's one I planted over here. I keep track of everything. And then over here, those are zinnias.
Yes.
That I'll probably transplant because they'll be too big for
Cosmos,
that.
right?
Yeah, you're right. But
yes.
They all clumped. And I've got some poppies and some weeds and some zinnias.
You're expecting to have these blooming for the wedding?
Yeah, but I'm not so certain.
I was going to say, they may need a little more seaweed.
I only transplant or try to transplant when I know there's going to be some cloudy weather, so I'll be listening to you carefully, Todd.
All right.
I know we're going to have 2 overcast days.
I will try to provide some cloudy, damp weather for you, Joan.
And then I'm over that little.
Nasturtium is an edible flower, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you eat them?
Oh, I throw them in salads
all
the time.
You do. Yeah.
But it's dry. That's cilantro. That's slow bolting cilantro.
Okay.
And then I've got parsley. And then this is sort of a mishmash. My next celery is going to go right where that is. Set today, I'll get out of the garden now when the sun is bright.
Yeah.
I'll come back in the evening and I'll string these so the beans, these are all climbing beans. And this is dill.
Dill, I love dill. Is National Catnip Day?
It is?
I swear, it's National Catnip Day. There's a local,
See that?
beautiful.
You know it's going to seed when, see that seed head?
Yes.
So if you take that home and scatter it, if you have a dirt or a little garden, just put it on the ground and I bet you'll have dill next year.
I will. Thank you for that tip right there. Yeah, there's a local, I don't know, company that sent me in the mail little catnip packets.
Oh, they did?
For my cat, because today is National Catnip Day.
Do you want to pick a strawberry?
I would love to.
Oh, you almost stepped on it. I picked those last night and I forgot to take them in and the birds didn't get them.
How did they not get them?
I don't know.
Well, because your garden is so fenced in and so perfect.
But these are sort of an add-on to the squash that you can see on the mounds underneath. And I have terrible trouble with squash bug, so I'm not sure. I'll get some zucchini probably. I don't know about
I mean,
the
there's nothing like a fresh strawberry, you know, that's been warmed by the sun.
How
when
does it
goes
go
in.
with the dill?
Well, let's give it a shot. I bet it's not bad.
Could be a new ice cream flavor, right?
I bet it is.
Strawberry dill.
I could see it be like
Maybe
you know
we
what?
can.
This is tough to eat.
Looks like Christmas in your hand.
It does.
How is it?
Honestly,
That's
it's not
either
bad.
That might be a sparkle, actually. I forget.
Well, it's delicious, and I'm making a mess like
that's
as
okay.
if I was a fourth grader out in the field.
We all make
picking
messes
strawberries.
in the garden.
This is great.
And when the chard's little like this, now I should take this asparagus and cut this back and bring it over to the asparagus bed, which is over there.
Over in the shade over there?
I was thinking I'd have rhubarb take that over, but I've decided that it's too shady.
Okay.
Because asparagus comes up earlier in the spring
Yeah.
than most things.
It's one of the first crops, isn't it?
These deciduous trees over here don't provide a canopy of shade, so at this time of year now, you can see
Oh,
the
I
shade.
see. So that gets
rhubarb's
much more sun,
early in
like a
this-
couple of months, back in April and May. Yeah, that makes sense. Gosh, I mean, I can see this being a labor of love and why it's your happy place. I mean, you do have a lot to do in here, clearly.
Yeah,
But-
but it's all, you know, I try to get out early in the morning and again in the evenings.
Yeah.
And I leave explicit instructions if I'm going to be away.
To whom?
Oh, my husband. Sometimes some neighbors, you know, I'll
Yeah.
feed you if you water the vegetables.
I would take you up on that.
But most people are happy to do it. And now it's pretty much on cruise control. I mean, if it's really, really dry for a week, it needs to be watered, you know, every other day I try to. But you can see from what's been watered and what hasn't been by the soil color.
Yeah.
Some is darker.
Sure.
But that's
I don't know,
pretty much
Joan.
it.
I think you pretty much nailed it.
Yeah,
Green
no
heads.
CMs.
Not sure which ones they
See,
are.
I don't know how I did this because now I've got that. I don't know what that is. It's
Coming up. Yeah.
but just a little bit like that'll help. But you've got to really. See, it is tender loving care with a green thumb.
Yes, it is.
Make you a gardener yet, Todd?
Oh, I am one. I'm
I know.
also a little lazy.
Okay, we'll figure that out. Good night.
See
So
what
we
happens.
mentioned organic, we mentioned the eelgrass, we mentioned starting from seed or purist. And so you're going to go from this, Tom, to the sign. That would be awesome.
This sign here, it's up to interpretation.
Yeah, I'm moving over a lot, and if I stop running, I could very much look like that, I guess. These are really old. We found these right when we were married. There's a his and hers, but his.
Where'd
isn't
his end up?
It's still in the shed. I'll show you. We might have to give this show another rating if we show that.
Yeah, there you go. Right. This is a family show, right?
And the,
List of instructions here, Joan. Carting this guy around.
yeah, you get the easy job now because when you pull it up from the tide line, it's pretty heavy because
Down there,
it's still
right?
moist. Now it's air dried. It's
dried out a
been
little.
sitting out for a while.
Joan, want to thank you so much for your time and showing off your garden to us. We're going to let you go. You've got a lot of work to do. You're preparing, though, for the Beach to Beacon, right? Coming up?
Yes, coming right up on August 6th. First time in 2 years. So this will be our 24th. We're not counting the virtual years.
Yeah, that's...
So 24 this year and the big 25 next year.
25 is next year.
Yes.
And that's your baby, basically, right?
Well, it was my idea early on, but it takes a village to pull it off, and we're very grateful for all the help that we get in doing so. And I'm hoping this is just a welcome back to many of our legacy runners who will have run all 24, and to the people who are experiencing it for the first time. And you know, to our beneficiary this year, which is the Cromwell Center. And so it transcends the running community and heads into the bigger community each year in a bigger way.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be an amazing event again this year, and we'll keep our fingers crossed for good weather too.
Yes,
again,
not too hot,
no, not too hot.
humid,
Just right,
perfect,
right?
Just right.
Thanks again, Joan.
Thank you,
Great to
Todd.
meet you. Thanks for having us at your farm, your garden. Oh, darn. Joan, thanks again for having us at your garden. If you wanted to learn more from Joan, you can on our website, our mobile app, YouTube channel too as well. And we'll catch you next time as we continue to grow together. We're growing with Joan Benoit Samuelson on Gardening with Gutner.